If you have a big calling, regulation doesn't look like rest all the time. It looks like capacity. And most women with big callings aren't unregulated. They're over carrying. They're holding more than their nervous system was ever meant to hold alone. You don't need more discipline. You don't need to try harder. You need somewhere your nervous system doesn't have to stay on guard. This is for women who lead, women who build, women who carry vision, women who hold responsibility, often quietly, women who are strong, capable, and deeply committed. But strength without regulation eventually becomes strain, and strain without support becomes depletion you can't afford, not because you're doing something wrong, but because responsibility expands faster than the body adapts. Today, I want to show you what regulation actually looks like for women with big callings and why support isn't a downgrade, it's stewardship. If your nervous system is exhausted and you want support, Bloom is available below. It's a place where your system doesn't have to stay on guard. Big callings don't require you to push harder. They require more capacity. Hustle works for a season, but eventually it stops scaling because your calling doesn't just stretch your schedule. It stretches you. Vision almost always expands faster than the body can hold. Responsibility accumulates quietly, not all at once, but steadily. And leadership can look functional long after regulation is already strained. You can still show up, still perform, still deliver, and still be running on nervous system overload. Most women think they need better time management, more systems, more structure, more discipline. What they actually need is nervous system bandwidth. Bandwidth is how much life, responsibility, and vision your system can hold without bracing. And no calendar can fix that because you plan your calendar perfectly and still feel like you're drowning. Calling stretches the nervous system before it stretches the calendar. Regulation is not collapsing. It's not quitting, and it's not shrinking. Those are fears, not facts. Regulation is staying available without staying braced. It's the difference between being present and being on guard. A regulated woman can carry weight without being consumed by it. She can lead without constantly scanning for what might go wrong. She leads from fullness, not fumes. And regulated doesn't mean soft. It means sustainable. It means your strength lasts longer because it wasn't fueled by tension. Collapse happens when regulation is avoided. Sustainability happens when it's honored. Most women with big callings don't look dysregulated. They look responsible. They look dependable. They look capable. They look like the ones everyone leans on. Unregulated leadership rarely looks chaotic. It looks organized, always anticipating what's next, rarely exhaling fully, holding everyone else's emotions quietly, feeling guilty resting because others depend on you, saying yes before checking in with your body, apologizing for needs you freely meet for others. That's not failure. That's not weakness. That's uncontained responsibility. Here's what most people don't realize. Unregulated leadership doesn't look chaotic. It looks capable. That's why it often goes unnoticed, and that's why it's so hard to catch. Nothing about this means you've done something wrong. It means your responsibility outgrew your regulation. Calling doesn't bypass the nervous system. Grace doesn't override capacity. And obedience doesn't mean self-abandonment. A lot of women have been taught that faith means overriding the body, but wisdom teaches us to listen to it. The body is not the enemy of obedience. It's the container that makes obedience sustainable. Even Jesus withdrew, not because he was weak, because he was wise. Withdrawal wasn't disobedience, it was stewardship. Regulation is stewardship. Say that with me. Regulation is stewardship. Stewardship of your body, stewardship of your capacity, stewardship of the calling you've been entrusted with. Honey, God doesn't ask you to sacrifice your body on the altar of your calling. And don't even play in the comments talking about, well, Romans said, present your body a living sacrifice. This is not the same thing. That scripture does not mean ignore your body, never get rest, let people run you down, weigh yourself down. Absolutely not. He asks you to steward it for your calling. When your body is stewarded, your calling lasts longer. And longevity is part of obedience. A lot of women say they want a regulation, but they've never actually experienced what it feels like. So let me describe it. Regulation feels like support without explanation. You don't have to justify why you're tired. You don't have to explain why something feels heavy. You're supported because support is appropriate, not because you proved you deserve it. Regulation feels like leadership without isolation. You're still responsible, still capable, but no longer alone with the weight. The load is shared, not judged. Regulation feels like vision without vigilance. You can think long term without constantly scanning for what might go wrong. Your body isn't braced while your mind is dreaming. Regulation feels like rest without guilt. Not rest you have to earn, not rest you have to justify. Just rest because your system is allowed to pause. Regulation feels like boundaries without apology. No over explaining, no rehearsing, no self betrayal just to keep the peace. Your no doesn't require a defense. I was about to say it doesn't require a defense attorney. Hello. Regulation feels like exhaling without earning it. Not after collapse, not after burnout, just because you're human. Regulation looks like being held enough that you don't have to hold everything. When you're held like that, you stop leading from fear of what might fall and you start leading from vision of what could grow. This is why Bloom exists. Not to correct you, not to fix you, and not to make you smaller. Bloom isn't about pushing. It isn't about proving. And it isn't about breaking yourself open. You don't have to prepare yourself for it. Bloom is a container where your nervous system doesn't have to stay on guard. It's support for women whose calling has outgrown solo regulation. Capacity stewardship, not discipline. Inside Bloom, you'll learn to expand without exhausting, to regulate without collapsing, and to lead without losing yourself. There's no pressure to decide right now. Just knowing that a safe container exists often gives the nervous system permission to settle. I want to leave you with this question. Not something you have to answer right now, not something you need to solve. Where in your life are you carrying more than your nervous system was meant to hold alone? Not because you're weak, but because your calling expanded. And expansion always asks for more capacity. You don't have to do anything with this right now. You can leave it in the comments or you can reflect privately. Both are valid. Awareness is what restores capacity, not effort, not pressure. I want to leave you with this. You don't need to become stronger. You need more support than your current system is holding. Regulation is how leaders last, and lasting matters because the world needs what you're building. Support doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're thinking long term. Longevity is leadership. If your system needs a place to exhale, Bloom is below. It will be there when you're ready. For now, let your body settle into what it already understands.